Hi there. The time has come to be blunt about what's going on at Manchester United Football Club. Sadly, in my opinion, the men who currently control the destiny of our football club don't know what they're doing. And I'm going to tell you why. Anyone who knows me or watches this channel on a regular basis will know I've always backed the manager. I backed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to the bitter end. The difference was he finished third and then second in the Premier League. His unbeaten run of 29 away matches is still an English top-flight record. I backed Erik ten Hag to the bitter end. He won 2 trophies in 2 seasons, reaching 3 cup finals, and he finished third in his first Premier League campaign. Ole in particular, I think, was hugely underestimated, and I'm certain we wouldn't be in the mess we're in right now if we'd carried on with Erik ten Hag or his number 2, Ruud van Nistelrooy. Meantime, I have consistently told you I do want Ruben Amorim to be successful at Manchester United. I've argued that he needs more time. As an optimist, even now, I still cling to the hope that Ruben will somehow make United great again. But it's a hope based on wishful thinking and nothing concrete. Right now, his body language tells me I don't even think Ruben Amorim believes that Ruben Amorim can turn United around. So far, what's turning out to be a Portuguese pretender looks like a manager way out of his depth. He's got the worst record in Man United history, by a long way. 17 defeats in 33 Premier League games. No back-to-back wins in the league. He tells us he'd rather keep losing than change his system. I hate that stubbornness and that total disregard for how crazy that sounds. His in-game management has at times been diabolical. His team selection and his substitutions have often been baffling. I hate his stubbornness. I'm tired of his endless excuses. I'm not interested in what he did in a second-rate Portuguese league, and I can't stand the way he plays Bruno Fernandes out of position. I could go on, but Ruben is a very nice man, and he talks well when he's in front of the media. But the bottom line is that football is a results business, and Amorim looks and sounds like a manager who's all talk and no substance. In short, he doesn't know what he's doing. But he's not the only one, and he's not even the biggest problem at this football club. In any business, at any football club, it all starts at the very top. The ownership of Manchester United Football Club stinks like rotten fish. The ownership have zero understanding of how to run a successful football club, not least the biggest football club on the planet. The owners are more interested in money and balance sheets than legacy and silverware. They absolutely did not understand the history, the ethos, or the culture of a football club made great by Sir Matt Busby and Jimmy Murphy. They don't respect or understand the high standards and winning culture created by Sir Alex Ferguson. They certainly don't respect our fans and our former players. We all know how the Glazers gutted Manchester United by treating our football club like a cash machine. We all know the Glazers don't care what the fans think or how we feel about the way they've abused our football club. But Jim Ratcliffe and his INEOS mob are even worse, much worse. Ratcliffe enabled the Glazers to keep their greedy fingers in the pie, and he's consistently made one bad decision after another. His claim that he's a lifelong fan of Manchester United is as hollow as his personality. He's an arrogant man who doesn't understand the first thing about being a true Red. He can't understand why many fans want the words football club back on the badge. He doesn't value the older fans who've supported the club for decades. He'd rather fill Old Trafford with tourists making their very first visit. He has no time for tradition or former players, as he proved when he ruthlessly axed the £40,000 a year sponsorship of the former players' charity. He wants the fans to pay for the mistakes made by the owners by hiking up ticket prices and by asking them to pay money up front for season tickets at a new stadium. He's made one bad decision after another, giving Erik ten Hag a new contract, then sacking him, poaching Dan Ashworth, then sacking him, bringing in Ruben Amorim mid-season, then sacking Ruud van Nistelrooy. And then there's the stadium. He wants to knock down Old Trafford and replace it with a commercial and residential development. In my opinion, that's sacrilege. He wants to build a new stadium on land the football club doesn't even own, and he arrogantly thinks he can buy that land for £50 million when the freight company who own the land want 10 times that amount. Maybe I'm unfairly painting an overly negative narrative around a man who's invested his own money into buying nearly 30% of MUFC. His emergency funding certainly solved a huge cash flow problem and helped upgrade our Carrington training ground. But I feel that's all overshadowed by the demoralisation of a workforce decimated by redundancies and cutbacks. As I said before, this is a football family as well as a football club. Ripping the heart and soul out of Manchester United with penny-pinching cutbacks on the pretext of making the figures add up, for me, is the biggest root cause of our current malaise. Footballers are affected by the demoralisation of a workforce they're part of, and there's no leadership that inspires the players to fight for United's history and identity. Let me say that again. There's no leadership from the owners that defines what Manchester United stand for. And that is on Ratcliffe, who's overseeing the worst period in United's Premier League history. Since Ratcliffe started making the big decisions, everything has gone pear-shaped. On top of that, the owners for a long time now have settled for mediocrity. We've spent fortunes in the transfer market, but when was the last time we signed the best player in the Premier League? When was the last time we signed the best player in any position on the football pitch? Consequently, we have a squad of highly paid footballers who simply lack the fight, the passion and the skill that playing for Manchester United demands. We're turning into a burnt-out shell of a once proud football empire. The whole ethos of the Ratcliffe regime is based around finance and not our football religion. He's turning the football club into a faceless institution that doesn't care about the fans, the players or our status. The R missing from Manchester United stands for Ratcliffe, ruining our red family and our reputation. It's becoming purely a business, and that is not what dreams are made of. Every other football club in the Premier League has a togetherness the players can feel part of. It's that togetherness and big family identity that is sadly being neglected and forgotten at Manchester United. The club is being run purely for the benefit of the shareholders and not for the fans. For me, this is crystal clear, and so are the consequences. I don't care how much you pay players, you can't buy their total commitment to a club that has lost touch with its soul. And then there's the move to enforce a new identity and a new way of playing. That's the vision of Omar Berrada and Jason Wilcox. Both are extremely nice guys, but they're unproven in the roles they currently fill. And they don't understand the United way. They both built their reputations at Manchester City. Neither are best in class. And 2 weeks ago, exclusively on this channel, we heard Jason Wilcox say in his own words, he's guilty of being a frustrated coach who wants to interfere with what the manager is doing. So it does beg the question, how much of Ruben Amorim's decision-making is being influenced by Jason Wilcox? While I do think Jason Wilcox is a thoroughly decent guy, I do question his decision-making. We've failed to tackle our midfield requirements. We sold one of the best midfielders in Europe when we got rid of Scott McTominay. We failed to sign a goalkeeper proven at the top level. We're painfully short of strikers. Šeško is our only genuine centre-forward. And we've got 5 players who are best suited to playing in the number 10 role. Strip away the fanfare and backslapping our summer transfer window activity generated, and you have to ask yourselves, do we actually know what we're doing? Ratcliffe controls the media by feeding inside information to a select number of preferred journalists. In return, those journalists don't expose the real mess created by the owners. When the reaction to results out on the pitch gets so bad, the demand for change is deafening. It'll be the manager who walks, not the players, and definitely not the owners. Next, it's Sunderland at home and then Liverpool away. On current form, we could easily lose both those matches. There's a growing belief that Amorim is already a dead man walking. And the only thing keeping him in a job is the financial penalty of the £12 million in compensation we'll owe Amorim if he's sacked before November the 1st. After Sunderland and Liverpool, we've only got Brighton at home before that deadline. Then it's Forest and Spurs away before the next international break that follows our match at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on November the 8th. It's an old cliche that managers always take one game at a time, and Amorim has all week to focus on Saturday's Old Trafford encounter with newly promoted Sunderland. But it's impossible for fans not to look ahead. Fail to beat Sunderland and the clamour for Amorim to be dismissed will inevitably reach fever pitch. My guess is that Ruben Amorim will stay in the hot seat until the Spurs game, and whether or not he survives the international break will be decided by results in our next 5 games. But even if we change the manager, don't expect any real progress overnight until we have clear leadership from the owners. We need leadership that unites our fans and our players. We need a united Red family. I don't believe we'll ever get that under the existing ownership model. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, please like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel if you want to help me keep creating content. Your support makes all the difference. If you'd like to check out my exclusive merch, please visit my new shop, johngubba.com. Links below. Meantime, if you want to keep watching, here are 2 more videos that you may like.